This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
We are TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
This is the American Forces Vietnam Network.
Good morning, TFR.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Truth Frequency Radio. You are listening to the Ironworks. My name is Josh Corey, and I am joined by my co-host and good friend, Mr. Walter Johnson. Walter, how are you this AM?
I am great. It is Tuesday, the start of a new week for us here at the Ironworks. We had a lovely show on Friday with our Iron Rim Media crew, and it's a new week. Can't wait to get some iron going here. I see our buddy Good Times for All already in the chat with us this morning. So good morning out there, everyone listening across the plain, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Hope you're not getting chemtrailed too bad. They've been hitting us here in Louisiana pretty heavy all weekend, and like a dummy, I was out in it all weekend, shopping and visiting family, and just, should have been inside, staying out of it. Of course, these days, it's hard to go out on a day anymore that's not silvery rain.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. We've actually been getting hit pretty good the last few days ourselves right here in St. Louis. I think the weekend was relatively clear, but then I would say yesterday and probably Sunday evening, I could just see him laying them out like it was ridiculous. Just a huge, massive assault. It was ridiculous.
Well, they can't risk us seeing Rahu as it leaves the sun area right now. I've been seeing a lot of that going through on some of the people I follow that do know that Rahu and Ketu are actual things in the sky above us. So speaking of that, I don't know, I've seen a lot of people coming out with videos talking about the shadow of the eclipse, how that same shadow I talked about coming down from the top of the moon to the bottom of the moon as the sun was rising behind us all in the west there. Just sorry ballers. It just breaks it, man. It's broken. Ding dong, the ball is dead. But, I'm sure they'll come up with some new little animation with some kind of flip around sideways and negative refractory swamp gas Venus type reflection off of a cloud bank, I'm sure.
Well, there's been lots of different people watching that shadow come in from various angles. So we could probably just set up a compilation vids and have it coming in from all the way around.
Well, I don't see how two different people here in the States are seeing it in any way. I saw it from the bottom, and I saw a video from the Florida gentleman. I can't remember his name. I apologize right now. I'll get that before the end of the show, but I saw it like kind of a little to the right. And then there's one video that I think our buddy Paul on the plane showed a picture with it completely on the left side. And this is all within the United States. And this country isn't that huge. It goes back to that whole 70-mile shadow thing from the eclipse back in August that just didn't work for me. But backward shadow coming down from the bottom as the sun rises behind you in the sky. You call it whatever kind of Selenian. I can't talk this morning. Coffee hasn't hit. But regardless, it broke the ball and it just doesn't work in any model that we can come up with spinny space pairs involved. Sorry, guys.
Well, we actually have a guest with us today. I want to just throw him on here because we could sit here and BS all day, but I really want to hear what he has to say about this most recent eclipse. So joining us for the very first time, known on YouTube and the interwebs as Wake the Sheeple, we have with us this morning Mr. Michael Lee. Mike, how are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm still awake, so that's a big plus.
That is a big plus. Well, we appreciate you staying up all night just to join us this morning. That's no small feat. Walt and I we've tried it a couple of times trying to stay up for the show, and at least for me, I know it's always better that I at least get a little bit of shut-eye before I log on and go live.
I think if I would have, I don't know if you would have got me back on here. I'd probably be snoring right now.
I could appreciate that too. I've done that before as well. But thanks for joining us. So what did you think about this most recent lunar eclipse, the super blue blood moon eclipse, whatever it was?
I think it was just a hell of a lot of chemtrails on it, and I think that's why it was silvery blue. But I haven't seen them spraying like this over St. George. Like, I've been posting it, but they've been spraying way harder than normal, and I mean, I definitely know if there's other orbs up where, I mean, they've talked about it forever, like with Lilith or whatever you want to call them. I mean, so they're either hiding it or they're using it, like some say, with the barium and all that, to see the magnetic waves or that. But
Wow,
I don't know.
so you just threw a name there I've not heard as far as a body up there. Lilith. What's the reference? You have to fill me in on that one.
Actually, that's the scientism name that they actually quote Lilith in all their stuff. Like, they document where Lilith is setting and moving. So that's the one they actually do, which actually goes against her ball. So, I mean,
yeah, well, that's like I said, that's a new name for me. I got down the Rahu and Ketu rabbit hole in the Blood Moon of 2015, which was early for my flat Earth research, and I couldn't figure out anything that worked even on a flat Earth for this. For what I was seeing, definitely two balls don't make an orange shadow. So I started looking into what other options are there, and found Vedic cosmology and the two bodies known as Rahu and Ketu, and seemed to work. They've been predicting these eclipses with those bodies for thousands of years. So I went with that. Then I started seeing some information out there that it might be more of something to do with the northern node. Thank you very much. Thank you. The northern node between, like the North Pole, the energy field that all seems to be revolving around somehow, causing this effect, which when Rob and I are looking at each other across the flat Earth map, having that between us, if things are slightly skewed, that might make sense. But seeing all these different directions, like I just saw, Good Times for All said, as far as the shadows being on the bottom, on the right, on the left, it would depend on your longitude. That makes sense, but even the bodies we talk about 3,000 miles up, and I hope you heard the air quotes, that's really just not working still for me. I still think it's more of the energy cycle, something happening with, I don't know, some kind of cycle, some kind of acquisition of energy, a transformer, just like the sun is, doing something completely, I don't know. Still working this thing out. But what I saw doesn't work in their ball model for damn sure.
No. And between my own eyes and driving from here to Vegas, we'd see it all the time. But there's sometimes, and plus, what is this? Was it Cesar or some that filmed the one eclipse with all they were supposedly documenting and hiding them, showed like 6 different bodies.
Right.
Up there.
up there when they were doing
yeah,
the eclipse plane, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I've seen those myself. So
right, I have as well, sir. I have a video where I actually captured it. So
yeah, so there's like, I'll just guaranteed probably guess would be at least 3 to 6 per the moon and the sun, and then everything being reflected, and then with the magnetism, with the electromagnetism and all that, but no, and that's what I don't get is you got all these people that sit there and call us crazy and all this, but their own books document Lilith, which I'm just using her, and you can see where Lilith is used in their movies and all that all the time, but
right.
that's, I mean, Lilith is no different as Rahu, Ketu, any of them, just clear bodies that encapse the sun or
Isn't
whatever.
it interesting how in that video, whenever you, like the sun, the eclipse happens and you see those bodies, they're very similar to the Dipper, the Big Dipper or the Little Dipper or whatever. The formation that they're in, it's almost exactly the Dipper. So maybe that's what stars are clear orbs that are empty during the daytime and they fill up with light from the moon as it dispenses it through its lunar phases throughout the cycle. And what we saw is these eclipses are some kind of master reset to the whole program.
That'd make a lot of sense too. And then where the universities, like University of Phoenix and all them, sending out the balloons and where the stars
Right.
disappear. Well,
Right.
we're got the stars disappearing between 60 and 100,000 feet.
Yeah.
So
They got above the stars? Is that what happened? I mean, that's insane to think that, but
in between. So because if the stars are only 60 to 100,000 feet before they start losing them totally, well, that would put your stars before the sun and moon that are just 3 miles out. So it wouldn't be, I mean, everybody looks at stuff as a big scale, like their Hollywood space, trillions and trillions of miles away. Well, no, if the stars are only going up 100,000 feet and need the atmosphere, and let's say the sun, moon, max, 3 miles, well, everything's close, very, very close, local and smaller. And we all see our own sun, so we all see our own everything up there. I mean, it's all reflected off the moisture in the atmosphere and that, but that would easily give that. That's how people are seeing the sun below planes, above plane,
right.
But then when the balloon up, it's just right there. I mean, just twice as high as the 100,000 foot balloons, whatever. But so
Right.
to say 3, I don't know. It's like it wouldn't be that hard. I'd just take their whole galaxy far, far away and put it really damn close. And but it's just lights and the way we see everything. It's not hard to trick our brains when we miss 95%, 99% of everything during a day. And I don't know. I think
some of them just happen to move that they've tracked over the years and called those satellites, and some of them happen to move a little faster that they've tracked over the centuries, and those are meteors or comets or...
Oh, I didn't see who... Oh, I need to see who it was again, but I just caught the tail end of Glowbusters this week, and Bob didn't talk about it, but in the back he was playing someone's video that actually zoomed in and caught there's 3 balloons with pulling a satellite right in front of the moon, just sitting there as they were filming the moon. It's just, you can see the balloons holding the satellite. Oh yeah, I mean, close up. And it got me thinking, good times for all our Paul on a plane.
Right, that might be it. We can check it out in a minute. If you find it on YouTube, just let us know. We'll drop some information like that in the description of the show later for people to find.
Yeah, I didn't talk about it, but it was sitting there going on in the background. I'm like, no way. I was like, somebody finally got it. And they zoom in right on them. And it's just sitting there just floating right on past the moon. I was like,
Well, early on, it was quickly, for me anyway, the whole idea that the sun was 3,000 miles up was quickly gone for me, because the first couple of videos I tried to do out on the coast to see if the sun was going away from us and not down, it was interacting with clouds. It was interacting with chemtrails. This was like I was freaked out. I had no idea because this was much closer than 3000. So seeing that these, yeah, I got to see that video. That's going to be amazing. I haven't checked it out yet. I'm so far behind on catching up with stuff. The only recent awesome close sun video I saw was, I think, That Impossible channel. It might be. I'll check too, but it's literally 2 different chemtrails that are swirled around the sun. And I mean, if you know light at all from just looking in reality, number one, but if you happen to be an artist and have drawn things and know how light sources work, you can see it. These 2 chemtrails are swirled around the sun. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's definitely cause, I mean, when you got the local heat, but these people who sit there and say, oh, the chemtrails are just a psyop. Like, really? Because I don't think how they're spraying and all of a sudden the sky goes totally just clouded right where the sun's at. The heat's pulling them and blocking out and making a white sun that turns us, it's got a big old magnifying glass just frying us little ants and sheep. And it's like, it's close, but it's definitely, when they spray, you can just watch it pull. I mean, it'll pull the barium, aluminum, it just pulls those clouds right to them, and it's...
Right. And it changes from what I've seen. Some days it seems like the sun is pushing that stuff away from it, and other days it seems like the sun is pulling that stuff towards it. And if you check,
it depends on what they're spraying.
Right.
See, I'm only about 100 miles, bird miles, right from Nellis out of Vegas. So they bring those planes in like crazy. And so when they're spraying their medium and low ones, you'll see those just, it's that milky, I don't know, just when it gets all milky looking. And then when they'll come in right behind it with those big military planes and do the big thick ones that will just set their linger, but they're sitting there right. Turning. Yeah, they're actually doing big X's over St. George lately and they'll just sit and turn. And they used to turn off the sprayers when they come back down. They're just saying they don't care. They just you'll just watch them just spin around and turn and do a circle, come right back at us, leaving them on and just keep going. But that's why I tell everybody, you need to research funvax. It's F-U-N-V-A-C, one word. And they've been doing that for many, many years. And even UN talking about it and all that, bragging how they give us our vaccines. It's fun. And they won't give you the city names because they say they'll be sued. But in the UN meetings and that, they'll tell you the population and all the private contractors and all that. They've been sued by Oregon and Washington for it.
That is absolutely crazy. Would you call
it
funvax?
Funvax, yeah.
That's
F-U-N-V-A-C-S.
That's Orwellian if I've ever heard it. Yay, it's fun.
Oh, my goodness. Just, you do all you can to stay healthy and eat correctly and be organic and don't vaccinate your children if you have any sense. And it really, again, they're just going to spray it down on you day in, day out. It's hard to escape. So then you have to think about purification, or at least that's what I try with distilled water and eating the correct herbs and just trying to get that crap out of your body as quick as you can.
I've been drinking distilled water so long. If I even taste, I can't stand any other water. That, and people don't understand. Think how many regulations we have on everything. And I mean everything.
Raw water is illegal in most states. That's crazy.
But here's this. Bottled water is the only thing in the U.S. that has 0 regulations. 0. That's why they can sell it. That's why every one of your bottled water has come back whenever they test it. Has everything with Prozac.
Mm-hmm.
Has everything with and most of them are just hooking to the taps and just selling you straight tap water. So you're getting all the garbage. Because I'm an operator for in water collections, sewer and sewer collections. So I've seen the tests and that kind of needs. And it's like, whoa. But just people need to put that in their mind. That bottled water has 0 regulations. So
do you do your own distillation?
Oh yeah, I distill my water.
What's your process? You have one, what's your...
I have distiller, the 1 gallon distiller. It's just me here now. So, but so I just keep 10 gallons all the time. It's constantly running because I drink 2 to 3 gallons of water a day, and then reverse osmosis. But the thing is, just they're cheating. Like St. George, Salt Lake, all of them. Their tests the water gets so bad, like you'll get hit in the face with chlorine all the time because instead of whatever, run it to the sand filters and that better, doing whatever they're supposed to be keeping up on. It seems like they're just adding more chlorine to the water. And so half the time you'll be sitting there and go to get a drink, turn on and wash your hands, get hit in the face with bleach, smell so bad.
Mm-hmm. And I have an overly sensitive nose, so I smell it. So, I mean, as soon as unfortunately, I'm not able to have a distiller for the whole house or a filter for the whole house. So when I get in the shower and hit it, oh my goodness, the smell of it is like, well, I just as soon go hop in the pool and bathe that way with this. It's ridiculous.
So, if you take a long hot shower, how people they say they get dizzy, get heart race, and all that. They're like, oh, it's because of too hot of water. No, it's not because of too hot of water. Chlorine, and they've known this forever, is worse than I just had a brain fart. What they've been having in the water.
I mean, other than the fluoride and I'm sure there's something. We'll get it soon.
I can't believe I'm everybody's putting the garbage in the water and everybody's complaining. It's the
glyphosate
takes your testosterone away, pushes your, and let's just go.
The hormones that are in there,
and the fluoride and all that. But the whole thing is peroxide is 1,000 times cheaper and it works 1,000 times better. And they've known it forever. I mean, and it's good for you. It actually oxygenates your blood.
Right.
But chlorine is horrible. It stops your testosterone. It pushes your estrogen. It's beyond horrible for our skin and our lungs and everything else. So if you're sitting in there, that's why you're getting dizzy. That's why people start having like panic attacks or everything else because you're sitting there breathing that steam of chlorine. So.
Well, here's what I thought was pretty funny. In looking for show prep, I did run across a story that says that the lethal pneumonia outbreak, they call it pneumonia in the headline. In the story, they call it Legionnaire's disease. But the lethal pneumonia outbreak in Flint, Michigan, they say was caused by low chlorine in the water. So there's your nice fear porn to help you boost those chlorine levels in your drinking water.
Well, people need to research Australia, U.S., everybody else. The Supreme Court's ruling that viruses don't even exist. So, and that was done. Just look up biologist beats scientists. Supreme Court rules viruses don't exist, and they actually used the MMR vaccine and proved that big pharmas created the vaccine or created viruses to push the vaccines. So, if you go taking away viruses, just how much flus do you have when you have flu season set every year at the same time? And every store, Walmart, everybody pushing, get your free flu shot on every candy aisle, everything. McDonald's giving you a free Big Mac. So if you take away viruses, now you think about just how much is man-made then. So.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
Yeah.
So, of course, at the bottom of the story is another story out of the Oakland Press. It says drinking raw water may not be a good idea, experts warn. So there you go.
That's distilled water. Well, it's not anymore because of the chemtrails. So I mean, those particulates are actually so fine that even the rainwater is coming back with mass particulates in it. So may not be now, but I mean, it's still, that's horrible. Anything they make a law for, when they're telling you, hey, you can't catch your own water or you can't drill, that's because they don't want you getting the good, clean water.
That's right. Or they've already poisoned it and they just don't want you to know. Just don't collect it. Don't test it. Don't do anything with it. Just enjoy it as it falls down. Go outside and play in it. But
no, they don't want that. I mean, they're not going to mess up. I'm just saying, like, the clouds are catching so much and so much is staying. That water's still going to be way better than any tap water you could ever drink in your life. I mean, they just don't want you catching clean water.
Exactly. Or having raw milk or any of that.
Well, I saw Mad Mike Hughes back in the news.
Oh, goodness. I did as well.
Yeah, looks like he almost made it up this time, but not quite. So, yeah, just more stupid conditions.
Those pesky levers.
Right.
I won't bring names into it, but I also saw a video today and with the comments of saying, hey, in 20 minutes, Mad Mike Hughes.
That's interesting.
I saw that on MGTV showing someone wrote on you can see them, they typed and wrote it up on the thing saying in 20 minutes he's going to cancel.
Right.
And in 20 minutes he canceled.
It's definitely seemed to be just a continual
publicity stunt.
My goodness, beyond that, just continuously making this whole thing look ridiculous. The whole movement. I mean, the thing that you keep seeing that was added to the story. He's doing it to prove flat Earth. All right, I'll shut up. We'll be back in a few minutes with our buddy Mike Lee here on the Ironworks, right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Break clear of the fear.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to the Ironworks. My name is Josh Corey. We are joined by Michael Lee.
Man, you can't overtalk Danny Carey. He's going to powerhouse those drums over you, sir.
Joke's on him. I personally ducked this audio down just so that I could talk over it.
Power of Carey will not be denied. Man, I can't wait to hear the new Tool album if it ever hits the stores sometime in the next 3 years. Sorry, Mike. Didn't mean to step on you there, brother. We're so glad to have you here this morning. What kind of music do you like?
I like Tool. I like all of them. I mean,
nice.
No one, they don't even, the name is in it. I mean, they are a Tool. They're CIA. I mean,
exactly. It all is, man. It's all about that.
Crazy.
So, just tell us a little bit about your background, Mike. Tell us kind of where you came from and how you got to Flat Earth. I'm always real curious how somebody goes from being a contributing member to society to being able to question authority and sort of peer beyond the veil, so to speak.
Well, I've kind of questioned authority ever since I was born, but I was born here in St. George, Utah. My family, I will just say, is part of the ones that are not on the good side. I mean, my grandpa, John D. Lee, which there's a lot of John D's, him and John D. Rockefeller, they're both known for massacres. So like around here, there was a Mountain Meadow massacre. And for the LDS Church, they were the Mennonites, the Jesuits. The Jesuits ordered to make sure the LDS Church was, because it was ordered by the Vatican to be started. Things since I was young just never fit in. Like we all sit here and shake our heads whenever he says this, but just bored of school. It wasn't hard. It was just not where I wanted to be. And I was just that and girls. I mean, I couldn't stand school and I just wanted out. And then, December 2014, I don't know. I just had enough. I was into the whole evangelical thing, into the Bible big, into all that. Not my whole life. That just came after my divorce. Everything just fell into it. And one day I had enough, and I was just serious. I was like, I wanted the truth, everything. And this is something I don't talk about, so you get to learn. But seriously, I prayed, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm sick of it. And within 1 hour, I had everything hit me of who, when, where wrote the Bibles, all that. And then in the same day, had this crazy notion by Mass Powerline and hit me. Within 10 minutes of watching that, I was a flat earther. I mean, instantly. I just knew. I was like, that makes sense. Boom. And just went from there. And created a channel. It was Wake to Sheeple 2015. And I didn't even know what I was doing. On that one, just making, because they changed stuff, I was doing other stuff, but made that and just started mirroring people's stuff to make a one-stop shop. I had everything on there. I mean, and somehow, I have no idea, so I was mirroring so many people's videos and that, and they're like, you can't do this, and it wasn't the video makers that were complaining, it was the other people, like, you're getting in trouble, so like, man, am I really? But I was copying it perfect, and their links, their everything, I didn't want no credit, and everybody kept asking, and I was hitting millions of views, and gaining 200-300 subs a day, and so I was actually, I don't know, I was like 12, I was easily over 10,000 subs. I think I was almost 12 in less than a year. And just everybody asking me how I'm getting so big, how I'm doing all this. But YT wiped me out. And everybody, like, freaked. Mr. Thrive and Survive, all of them doing a video saying how Wake the Sheeple got wiped. Like, because no copyright strikes, no nothing. They wouldn't talk to me. They actually buried me so hard that when I called to support, the guy's like, are you sure you have a channel? I was like, yeah. And so the only way they found it is I actually had a video link that I had in an email when I sent and brought it, and he's like, oh. So when he found it, he was like, oh, I need to send you to our support team. And they wouldn't even talk to me. Like, so I had a guy for 2 nights. He didn't work till midnight. So he would write something, then I would read it, and then write something, and I couldn't get a reply. And that went on for a couple days, and then they just wiped me out. And since then, whenever I make a channel, I don't get hashtags. I can't put none of that in. Even when I make all the new channels, I just, so.
Really? They've just banned your whole IP address or something? That's insane.
No, so I'm making all the videos the same, doing everything the same. It's just down, where it gives you the hashtags to put in your links.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have no hashtags, none of that, so I can type.
That's crazy.
But it just minused out the whole hashtag part, and used to bring up the different categories.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you typed in, let's say, I don't know, it'd bring up like history, documentary, that's gone. I mean, so whatever they did when I come back and made it, that's just, I don't see it. It's gone.
They've made you unsearchable.
Yeah, actually, I have mass people tell me, I'll send them, I have to actually share them my link and text it to them. So I don't know if I'm back up, but everybody I've asked said they can't find it.
I was about to tell you, man, to make sure and send me a link so that I can put it in the description. And I was like, well, I can go find it. I have not been able to find you yet. That's insane. I thought we were shadow banned on Iron Realm Media. Man, they've got you buried.
Oh, yeah, I don't come up whatsoever. So.
That's crazy. And I know I'm subscribed to you. I have been, every time you have a little issue and pop back up the new channel. So now that being said, I probably am now unsubscribed because they've done that to me since day one. I'm constantly having to go back in and check to see why haven't I seen the video recommended by this person, and boom, because they've unsubscribed my, or the notifications have been turned off or.
Yeah, when they bury you good, and I couldn't even find myself because I had my other channel trying to find them, and I was like, I can't even find my own damn self to put on here. So put in the link, but I don't know. That's one way to stop you from keep going, but
I finally found you about like 30 or 40 videos down the page after a bunch of stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with the kind of content you normally would put up. So, yeah, pretty insane. We'll have that in the description so everybody can find you.
cool.
So is that usually where you do most of your stuff? Are you on Twitter? Are you on other places
I
people can
was
find
on
you?
everything, and then it started after being wiped out so many times. It's not worth it. It just they got to me and then I can't stand Facebook anymore. I can't stand none of that. Because all these people think, oh, I have 5,000 friends. Well, it tells you right in the thing they're only going to show 3 to 6 of your friends. So unless you're doing that, I mean, nobody's seeing anything. And then anything about flat Earth, anything about no nukes, none of this, nobody's seeing it. So it's just pointless, and it's where the CIA and all them have been busted so many times pretending they're you, bragging about how many relationships and friendships they've crushed because people don't talk, they just text. And so they go in and pretend they're you and I am, and next thing you know, people are divorcing and fighting, and they laugh. They actually brag that they didn't realize how many numbers they could get to crumble like that. Nobody talks anymore, so. And then you do get the opposite. Then you get the ones that get on there and tell their whole relationship and what they've done with everything so personal. It's like, oh my. But now I'm just getting wiped out on that. And I was like, I'll just go now and actually do what I can do. But I'm going to enjoy this creative world. And so I was spending way too much time keeping up on that and Facebook and just everything, I losing family, losing this because I wanted to run out and tell everybody. I had to scream and tell it, and we all know that don't work.
Yeah. I'm about to save the world, dang it. Don't y'all see what I'm doing? And they're just like, okay, crazy man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I actually, the ones that look right at me and tell me I just want to keep my head in the sand, I'm just like, I just want to shake. It's like, because I know quite a few that know a lot of what's going on. They just choose not to care anymore. And it's like, but then again, on opposite, look, everywhere I go, it used to be people would like say, you're freaking crazy. Now, everywhere I go, there's way more that know about flat Earth, everything. They're like, oh yeah. And talking about other stuff, I'm like, you know? And they're like, oh yeah, I know. I'm like, so when they start telling us, oh, it's not that big a deal, oh, not that many people know. Yeah, or they wouldn't be over the news and everything else, trying to make you look so stupid. But just walk around your neighborhood, find people you don't know because it's getting less and less. I mean.
Well, here's an interesting story. I had my mother come into town for the holidays, and while she was here, she got sick and has been kind of hanging on to it ever since. She was just kind of starting to get over it and was at the doctor's office. And I think I don't know. She was talking.
Went to the doctor's office.
Yeah, well, I'm working on her one step at a time. I got her out of the bank and into a what do they call those? A credit union. So anyway, she was talking to somebody and I just looked up and I said, well, everybody I know, it's been sick for a long time. She says, I wonder if it's these airplanes in the sky. I mean, it certainly looks like they're spraying something up there. My mom says, oh, my son absolutely believes that there is something going on. So they sat there and had a little 5-10 minute conversation about chemtrails. I don't think either one of them genuinely believed or had any knowledge or information about chemtrails other than there were people that knew that they, or at least thought that they existed, and here's all this strange stuff up in the sky, and here's all these sick people. So without even, it's all just coming together. They're being able to do the maths, so to speak.
Yeah, I think give them more credit in that. I think they definitely know, or they wouldn't even been brought up. And for them to bring it up is...
Well, I'm impressed with your mom, man, for sure.
That's a big step.
That is a big step.
Bring it up, and even if they blame their son.
Yeah, I was shocked.
But for all the new people coming into this, I'm telling you straight out right now, I don't care what some of these little entertainment people on these channels say, all that. Like, stay away from Operation Fishbowl. That is the biggest psyop for people that were just waking up to suck you in there. It's just, they filmed sunsets, sunrises, everything else. That's what their old film edited. I mean,
Interesting.
all the explosions, watch the smoke. When it blows up supposedly in the air, it gets sucked to the ground. No, that means they shot it from the ground up and smoke rises. Smoke only rises, people. So,
we had
nukes don't.
We had a good friend early on that was helping us try to get this whole Iron Realm media thing off the ground, trying to figure out how this whole, video editing and just the whole 9 yards. You've played around with YouTube for so long. But that was something he discovered playing around with those very videos. In fact, there was one that looked like literally somebody had filmed something like a huge weight being dropped into sand from above and just reversed it. So it looks like they were looking up into the sky. It's some crazy stuff. What you're talking about is, that's definitely some great stuff to look into if you haven't, guys.
I always recommend that there's two to start with, and that would be Nuclear Hoax, and then it's Nuclear Hoax, Galen Windsor, and it's not Windsor, like they just took the D out of, it's still the Windsor family, and then the other one is Nuclear Hoax, Nukes Do Not Exist, and they straight out show you how they're editing and just filming sunrises, and it's amazing just filming a sunrise and a sunset with those old film cameras and how they could make those look like explosions and all that. And then when you get watching the film, you can actually see even the newer ones at the military now, you see the smoke actually head back down towards the ground. I mean, it's like, oh my.
And visually, it is very stunning to watch it. The Galen Windsor stuff isn't so captivating visually, but when you listen to that man talk and the stories that he tells, working in these cooling tanks, swimming in the cooling tanks, it's amazing. Drinking it, eating this radioactive material live. It's crazy stuff, but really, really.
To know he's a Windsor, and the whole thing is, he even tells you he is pissed because he spent almost 30 years doing that, and he was going to get the credit for the energy and and for them to just bury his name and everything about his doing the enriched uranium and the power, and just to bury it and to hide it. I mean, that's why he was so mad. So that's why. But I don't know. People just need to understand. I mean, just think about if they had nukes, they would have used them by now, even in little ways. Even Pakistan, somewhere they would. And Fukushima, all that would still be radiated. They wouldn't have had flowers and grass and everything still standing, just firebombed, which everybody pretty much knows now. But they even in the news back then, they were bragging. They're telling you it's just burned on one side. Well, because everything over there was made of wood, and what wasn't wood was still standing. Yet magically, they never ever blow up bridges or roads because they leave those infrastructures so that they can get in and rebuild and everything. So it's just, but though they will suck you into that Operation Fishbowl, and this is not a damn Truman Show enclosure. So I'm just, they'll pull us down.
You're not a domer. You're not a domer, sir.
I am. I know there's got to be something. It's not round. I would say flat. I'm not going to say it's a hard. It has to be. I can't tell you. I mean,
exactly.
I think if there's something solid, I think it's above the black.
Above what we think is, or what we see as space? Is that what you mean? Above that?
Yeah. And call me strange, but I picture like a cave wall, like I don't know. Like this could be if they want to go with the hollow earth or something, this could be it. I mean, sometimes I picture us like in the bottom of an ocean and sitting in a rock. I mean, just I don't know, but I just
Right. I've had
it's the
lots of
gas.
interesting ideas like that, looking at all this. It's gone through lots of evolution, but definitely the idea of a glass bowl plunked down over the top of us, I think is just more containment they had waiting for when people woke up to their spinny space pair BS.
Well, what's any different of that in the globe?
Right, more containment for you. You can't get past this point. There's no other land. There's no other place. There's no other beings. This is it. This is containment. That's what it's all about to me. That's why I quickly got rid of the dome idea and fought it hard in
But
all
we're
the
going to put
discussions.
a treaty and keep you. Yeah. So you can't go this way and you can't go that way, but you live in a snow globe. It's just. I mean, I can't tell you what's out past any of this, but I know there's a lot more. I mean, Google. How many times people have shown Google Earth and that screwing up and showing above Canada, above Alaska, all being because think those are just national parks, and the Rothschild. I'll just use the big name because it's none of the. You got your Sachs, Goldberg, all them Rothschilds, but think. Like the Clintons and all them, what do? They always make animal reserves. Always put money in the reserves. Why? So you can't go there so they can shoot you. They put their mansions and that out there. But if you go up above Alaska, Canada, all that, there's all no-fly zones. They're all parks and everything. And where Google Earth screwed up and shows it's just continuous land. I mean, huge continents as big as America and that. So there's more continents, I'll guarantee it. But there's also way more land connected to us that they just block you out from going.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the whole idea of this overpopulation, well, they've got everybody crowded into these city centers and those are overrun with people. But I live in quite a rural area and there's lots of empty space around me.
The only thing is, for years, I have friends in that have taken all the food growing and sold in the world every year. And it always stays around right around 1 billion people. So you better take the food of what's being sold and all that because that gives you your best. Follow the money, follow all that. There's not 7.5, 8 billion people because everything sold and produced and put out still only puts out around 1 billion people. And that might be the whole thing, like with the moon and that, like as one comes in, one goes out, one goes out, one comes in. But I don't know.
Have you looked into any of the idea of these gates, like in Enoch, the Book of Enoch, these gates idea of the moons going and coming through different gates, that idea? Or do you think it's completely like that, the new moon, a new orb, it completely changes?
Oh, I think it completely changes. I think, I don't know. When I get into that speculation, there's got to be something that, like, there's got to be like a Mount Meru or something like that that's, I would say, projecting the lights, everything, because that, when you're at the North Pole, people don't realize that when our whole celestial bodies, that's why they're at the 66 or 0.6 or 23.4 degree tilted, because when you're in the center, stars, so when you see everything, that's what it is. It's at 33 degrees or 66.6 degrees, 23.4. That's how they got the tilt, is because that's your vision from the North Pole down. That's your tilt, that's your axis. That's how they came up with that. But I don't know. Is it projected? Is it? I just know that when we launch these balloons, you see the lights right there. So I don't know if that's. But then, like talking with Chris Monk, when him and I talked, and that's more a projection itself, also. So I don't know.
So you've seen that? Our buddy Adam has seen that idea of the projection that he apparently has. So we haven't had a chance to talk with Chris about it. We definitely want to get him on here. Well, actually, we want to get him on our Flat Earth Friday show because we can actually do some visual aid there on the YouTube channel.
I've talked with him on Sun and Moon. Him and I have talked and that, but he's a hell of a smart guy. And I'll tell you, I know they just,
Yes,
when
he
you get
is.
people like that, they get you so busy and they'll keep you off. Because as he was making a ton, he was getting a lot of viewers, people coming in just to listen to him and watch. And look how fast all of a sudden they can bury you and work and pull you here, pay you there, put you there. Because he brings a lot to the table.
Yes, he does. It's good that he's like interacting with a lot of different people too. That's a good thing with someone who has that kind of abilities to show the lies they're using around us. I mean, it's important that his, ideas are spread around. So
it was great for
as
me
you
to get
know,
confirmation from him. Because, see, a couple years ago, whatever, when they were doing that no forest and the hexagonal lava tubes, and so I made a video on it because I have them all around me with the volcanoes, but the way they're scattered out. So as I went on showing these, well, I got talking with Bob and Cammie, and actually talking with Cammie because she's a gemologist and that. So we were actually having, texting and talking back and forth and going over it. And I don't know. I get all my thoughts while I'm in the shower. It's like my think time. And I just had it hit me. I was like, damn, that's like lightning. Because I just pictured the volcanoes going off. And I was like, I could just picture lightning hitting. And so I got talking with Chris, and I was like, I think lightning's caused these hexagonal lava tubes, the way they're just scattered, because all around you'll have normal lava rock everywhere.
Wow, you just blew my mind.
But then certain areas, that would be your ground points. So the lightning hitting, so then your electromagnetism, and being drawn to there and to here. And if you look, the way these hexagonal tubes, the way they grow, some of them are not even in lava. There's not even volcanoes around. They're just clear on the sides of hills, everything. But it would be exactly like lightning was just hitting here, hitting there, like on the moon.
Right. What if it's just that arcing?
That's exactly what, that's what Chris agreed and said. Because I was telling Ken, nobody knew, nobody could, I mean, they're trying to say this is how lava just formed, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not, not even. Because all around these circles is normal lava rock. And then all of a sudden, bam, you got these perfect hexagonal ones. Well, if you look the way they hit, it is scattered. It's just around these volcanoes here. It's just like lightning was just popping and hitting here, one here, one here, one there.
That is absolutely fascinating. And I bet you that'd probably be pretty easy to test. Even
have you seen like where they take the rods and put them in the beach and the lightning strikes and it makes those amazing sand sculptures? I mean, like glass sculptures.
I have.
Those are beautiful, and that's why when you said that, it was like, wow, that's definitely possible. Now that being said, I've also seen lightning hit trees and like literally make a strip of the sap explode out and make this big, it's almost like a tunnel all the way down the tree.
Just one vein. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, now you're talking from wood to the metals in the ground though, so because look at like Chris shows and that.
Did I hear music start? Yeah, hang on one second, Mike. We'll get to that. Like, keep that on the burner until we get back here from the break. Guys, we have Michael Lee with us from Wake the Sheeple channel on YouTube. We'll be right back here on the Ironworks on
Truth Frequency Radio.
You are now tuned into the Truth Frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
And welcome back to the Ironworks. Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. My name is Josh Corey. My co-host is Walt Johnson, and we are joined by Mr. Michael Lee of Wait the Sheeple.
Not only happy Tuesday, but I'd like to say happy birthday to our buddy Salamo.
Oh, good call. I did wish him a HBD there in chat, but good call on the shout-out.
Yep. He's been hanging with us since pretty much day one. We've had him talk to us a few times. He's offered a handful of help that we've, through our just sheer neglect of getting things done, have not taken up nearly like we should have. But definitely happy birthday, brother. Hope it's an amazing day. Make it an amazing day for sure. And enjoy.
That's it. Do what you love. Make yourself happy.
And who you love.
That's it. That's it. Hey, in addition to the numbers they gave out earlier on the commercial I heard there for getting in touch with us through the TFR, there's also an additional number you can reach us here at the Ironworks. It's called the Flat Line, and that is area code 304-503-FLAT, which is 3528. So you can actually give that call on that number a call at any time. Leave us a voicemail there. We will definitely get in touch with you if you leave information for us to reach you. We're always glad to hear from you. As we have our buddy here, Mike. We've been knowing Mike for a long time. He's been hanging out with us on the Iron Realm Media chats, and he's been around for sure. So we always like to have people come on, give us their story, their little fall off the ball, and just let us know what made them discern that, hey, maybe the stories we're being fed aren't quite the reality we're living.
Isn't that the truth? Okay, can I bring you down a different...
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, go right ahead.
And this just brings me to this because yesterday was my mom's birthday. She died 15 years ago, so... Okay, like I was telling you, my family's been into starting the religions and all that, but people need us. I want them, they can do whatever they want. I just want people to think about one thing, and that's, why do you have open caskets? Why are you put in a casket? Why are you put in concrete vaults and everything else? You got to think that's an open, it's pretty much a mock, like, sacrifice. 2, they fill you full of embalming fluid. They make your body toxic. Just completely full of poison. And then the wood and all that's sprayed with all the chemicals. But then you got the concrete that holds everything in. The whole thing I'm saying is that's to make sure the elites don't do that. They get cremated or they're buried straight within the 3 days so that they don't have to do that. But that's so you never can give back to the earth. So... it's a dark side, but it's a reality side. It's something to think about. So, when they do that, us chattel, goy, whatever, that's to make sure we never give back. And that's why I'm being cremated. So I just will bring a different side in, but I just want people to think about stuff like that.
Well, interestingly enough, my father, who was a Shriner, which I did not understand at all what that was until after he had passed, and he asked to be cremated. And I've been aware. I've been pretty much knowing that I had access to be able to join that organization through his connections, and just never did. But it was just interesting that we never expected that towards the end of his life, that he would make that request to be cremated, because no one in his family had ever done that. His father wasn't. His mother wasn't.
33 is 2 blocks from my house.
There you go. Well, it was interesting that even though there wasn't a big to-do because of there was no body, there was no, like you say, a ritual in a casket. Some guys showed up with my uncle to speak at this event, at his wake, I guess, if you will, or it was just more gathering of his friends. And they showed up and it was just my uncle and two other people that I didn't know. And they all donned their aprons and pulled out these swords. After talking about my dad and all the wonderful things he had done, he had saved a few people's lives and things like that, they proceeded to pull out these swords and do this ritual. I mean, it was obviously a ritual. My brother and I just kind of looked over at each other like, what the hell is going on here? It got finished. They kind of finished up. A few other people spoke. And by the time we could all get up, shake hands, and work our way over to them, they were gone. They got in vehicles and left the event. It was kind of freaky. Years later, I found out there's a lot more going on there than I knew, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, 99% of them are just good people that's doing good in good brotherhood. I mean, I'm not going to, each to their own. I know lots of them, and we know more than they will ever know. And a lot of the becoming the 33rd is finding out the earth is flat, which most think, oh, they know they teach that, right? No, they don't. They don't teach that in the lower things. But it's like the same as the Elks. It's the same as this. But like, here is a myth that like Mark Sargent pushes when he says, oh, it's for the guys to get out and drink and do this. They don't allow alcohol, period. And anybody that's in that stuff will know that. That's a big no-no. Alcohol is and they actually request for you to bring your family. And they have their little ceremonies for the firstborn, for a baby born into that. But they love having their wives go. They love getting them involved. Something I never wanted to be in. But I've definitely, you better know your enemy because they know everything about you.
Well, interestingly enough, coming up this Friday on this show on Truth Frequency Radio, we will have someone who can speak about all of this from actual knowledge. Someone I got to know here just over the last week or two because I saw some of his videos. It's a guy named Chad Swans from that channel. It's Chad Swan's channel on YouTube, and he actually is a flat earther who became a Mason and has gone through all the way up to past the 33 level and has quite a bit to say on some of the things that what we've been taught in this truther community versus what really is actually going on there is something I can't wait to find out this Friday. So you guys definitely want to check that out.
I'll definitely be listening because I want to see if he says one thing, and that all these lodges teach different. They actually keep each other. So when one is given, like the blue, so if you're a third, you could have learned that in this, like in St. George at the fourth. Then you go over to the right, and you could have learned it in the second. So they don't keep everybody on the same page. Does that make sense? They even keep everybody off the same page and same degrees and same things.
Right, even within there to confuse things, so not too many people have too much knowledge in their hands.
Because only certain blood types and families are going to get this, but they definitely switch them up from lodge to lodge to lodge to lodge, and everything's just different. But if he's went up through it, he definitely has learned a lot. But then I call IPS. I'm telling you, where you can't be in your 20s and be a 32nd degree Mason. It's not going to happen. You buy your way up. You can buy your degrees, all that, but you're not going to be that young. And it takes years, many, many, many years.
Interesting. I did not know that claim had been made by that person.
That's how the pyramid scheme comes up, and that's how it was created. That's why it's called the pyramid scheme, because you actually, in your lower degrees, you buy your degree. You can donate and buy your degrees all the way up. But when someone's in their under 30 and telling you that they're a 33rd, they're blowing smoke. And so some go almost their whole life and will never. And if you ask to be a 33rd, you're automatically out. You can't ask. That has to be on them to make you a 33rd. So
Right. I've been playing catch up on a lot of Chad's information on his channel. I didn't want to get too deep because I wanted to have some questions that would be fresh, spur of the moment. But I've definitely seen some stuff he talked about, and that was one thing he mentioned, that it is something you were invited to, that level for sure.
Yeah. So leave that, so I'll actually can learn stuff.
So what would you say is your biggest wake-up call throughout your life? I know you said you've been on a different path most of your life, but like what was some people go 9/11, some people say
there's
the
nothing
Challenger.
There's no, when this literally changes your world, how can you say anything's bigger? Flat Earth has to be.
Flat Earth was it, right?
I mean, there's nothing bigger. That's our world. That's everything.
Well, that's definitely the one that is the gut punch, that is the ultimate, just definitely drops the scales from your eyes for sure.
Or what was waking me up.
Oh yeah, no, that's actually more what I meant, was just as you're, maybe as a teenager or as a young kid. I mean, some people have been on this path literally since being a child. So what was were you into UFOs? Were you into the JFK thing as a kid?
I was into all of it. I mean, all of it. I was into the UFOs because I saw some gnarly things out here on the on the Grand Canyon. The lights at this end, when there's 50 of us sitting there partying at 15, and all of a sudden, like couple mile long strips of light just suck up along a wall and shoot straight up in the air. You just kind of look at each other like, nope, I didn't see that. Me either. Nope. So, but I don't know. It's just funny because you see a lot of stuff like that, and then everybody gets caught into the UFOs, and then you find out the government played both sides. And 9/11 was a big, that actually, because when I joined the military, everything else, like, that sucked me in just like everybody else. And like 3 years later, finding out that we were just lied to, but then I was sucked into back because they have so many, looking back now, of how much the government got in and ran all the supposed 9/11 truth movements and pushed us down the 1,000 different things, and then add a little more here, add a little more there. Then when they get busted there, add more here, just to find out they're just hollow, 7 floors, hollow buildings. Well, that's why you don't have any of the debris, because they were hollow. And it's demolition. When they build them, they actually put the strips in on 9. They knew to the date when they were going to drop them and build them to drop them. You're 2 to you're 1. So, and they do that all over the world. You'll see they have the 2 towers, and if they haven't been dropped, they made one now. It's coming. But,
so what do you think that's about? What is the purpose? Is it
that's the whole Trinity. That's the 2 to 1. That's your 2 becomes the 1. So it's just all part of their game. And if you look now, even the New World Tower, it's hollow. I mean, you can see they've got it where it's not even. But anybody just Google them, hollow towers, and you can see right through them. Everybody took pictures for years. And
mm-hmm.
But
as informed as I called myself about 9/11, when I saw those pictures, it was another kind of gut punch. It was like, really? That's how far ahead they had this plan? That's pretty, eye-opening. And most people look at that and go, oh, well, that was just some offices that they didn't have rented. No, there's nothing there, people. There's no, there's no empty office there.
Center beams, and even the people will tell, even all the way, or on video, talking that worked there for years, saying that they never stop. They just don't stop at those floors. But no directed energy beam, none of that crazy. It's just they were hollow buildings. Plus there was the big, which they have the museum down there, but that was a huge underground storage area where they stored the country's supposed gold that got so hot it melted so deep it never could be retrieved. Well, that's because that's how they unloaded, stole every country's gold. I mean, they got busted. People forget about I don't know if you remember it. Remember the truck driver that got stopped? The police stopped and he got out and took off. It was a diesel full of gold bars that they were hauling out 2 days before. and that. So, I mean, it was for 1,000 things. You got to think for the Patriot Act, for this, for that, but it was also to still. That's where all the countries kept their gold. So, not only did they get to drop that, and then plus wipe out what the hell was his name saying, the $2 trillion missing from the Pentagon.
I can't think of his name either.
But just think of it, and then all the people they got to just
Building
erase
7 with all the records there.
Okay, I hate when people say Building 7. Okay, how about Building 1 through 7? Because all 7, not just 7. I mean, there was 3 other ones that just fell.
Well, they like 7 because you have the BBC live air talking
about it being gone before, right?
And there it is in the background.
Him saying pull it. I mean, it's just it's the red herring of all to me. The big,
Well, plus look how much videos out there of them, all the police chiefs and that saying, hey, they're going to blow this in a couple hours. This one's cleared. This building's cleared. This one's cleared. So they tell you straight out there was no one in them because they say these are cleared. And they're telling the people filming, get out. These are cleared. Go out. So now I'm not going to say people didn't die because there's still people dying from that dust. I don't know. I'm not going to, I know no one was in the buildings, but I think, I don't live in New York. I haven't seen them, but all the shit people were breathing and still breathing, all that asbestos. I mean, that's why one of the reasons they've dropped them, because they were just so full of asbestos and so rotted out inside. It was way, way cheaper to drop them than to ever pull all that garbage out and redo them.
Well, I even heard that that's, sort of the reason why they were created to fall, because it was in the design. What are you going to do with these buildings so big? Eventually they're going to have to come down. You just sort of design them that way. But this was, I guess, before they realized asbestos, or before they realized we should tell people about asbestos. And
anybody with mesothelioma, call 1-800.
Right.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It's just, this is just, if people sit down sometime, and it hit me years ago, when you just, all of a sudden, you think, man, I know all this, and go to tell everybody, and then all of a sudden it hits you just how conned we are in this controlled system. And it's like, what is real? And get that, Israel. I mean, Israel's not even 200 years old.
Right.
So, the Bible's not even 200 years old. And when you get the Vatican, you get the Rothschilds, which is just meaning the money holder for the Vatican, but you get Britain and all them. And why did they take the area right there, go in and mop them up and take and make Israel? Because it's the best shipping port in that area. And that's what they did with D.C. and Virginia, and then tried the Wild West, but they didn't like that people stood up against Britain and was shooting them from behind and doing it the right way. But everything was about the shipping ports, and still is. And, well, Israel is the best land over there with the best shipping ports that they can move drugs, guns, people, money, gold, everything in and out the best. So, but what I was saying is, and all of a sudden you just get hit, and it doesn't seem so fun for a little bit, and then you get past it and see everybody waking up. I never thought I'd be alive in the time that people would actually start wanting to learn and start thinking, hey, something's wrong.
Right. It is an amazing time to be alive and to be aware of what's going on around you.
So that being said, there's a story I see that made me think of an old friend of Iron Realm Media, Mr. John Brahma. It says, scientists have confirmed a form of water that is simultaneously solid and liquid. It is the latest advance in the study of water, a seemingly simple substance that can shift between many different configurations. That's a really strange state of matter, says Marius Millet, a physicist at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California. The lead author of the paper published Monday in the National Journal of Nature Physics that describes the experiments. This new form, called super ionic water, consists of a rigid lattice of oxygen atoms through which positively charged hydrogen nuclei move. It is known to exist. It is not known to exist anywhere naturally on Earth, but may be bountiful farther out in space. So, John Brahma says that is what the edge is. Sort of where that is what the dome, whatever it is. It's this strange, like, fourth phase of water that is set specific frequency to keep out humans and human technology.
See, I remember it more that he said it was more like a force field than anything else. That it looked like water when it caught certain frequencies, and the wall or whatever, that picture we allegedly were sent that looked like a wall of ice or a wall of water was more just an appearance, not an actual reality. But again, I did have a few more personal conversations with him, maybe. So,
and maybe that's maybe you understand.
Now, my thought always was that space itself, the whole idea that what we're looking up there at and seeing all this weird cymatic patterns within and seeing rockets get stuck in and just the frequencies of liquid up there, just that was the fourth phase to me of water, was what we're looking up into as space.
Well, I think that would be your waters and your water. As you get up and you hit helium-3, you hit your tritium, all that, I think gases just get denser and denser and denser. And
layers. That's it, layers. Like an onion or an ogre.
Well, look at that lake under the ocean. And
that's it, exactly. Yes, sir. That's one of the things that led me to that idea, was the lake and the ocean.
Well, every time I post it, they've ripped it. What they'll do is they let you put the part of the video that makes it look like a river, because it does, just like a river under the ocean with the trees, like you're on a bank.
Yeah.
But the second any of the parts that come on when he's talking about trying to push that sub,
trying to go in and he couldn't get in there,
bouncing, they cut that out.
Yes, sir. It disappears because I've tried to catch it and download it 15 different times and I've never caught it yet.
It's too big for me to send you. But I have all.
There's a thing called Telegram. There's an application called, we don't get paid. Nobody don't think we're getting paid here, but there's an application called Telegram that will let you send anything under 1.5 gigs.
Okay.
Directly to somebody. We use it for this show quite a bit.
Yeah, I
would love to have a copy of that. Yes, sir. I've scoured everywhere trying to get that.
Well, because a couple of years, like 4 years ago, it was up. There was always like one or two. They would like let certain people have it up, and so I downloaded it. But every time we go to put it, it's just like you can put up till the part that he starts talking about bouncing the sub off that, and then that's it. That's where you'll find all of it.
You've got me grinning and excited again because I didn't know anybody else really knew the depth of that video. That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's at your 8 mile mark.
That's it. That's it. Not getting any deeper. Although I see recently one of those little stories, they're attempting to go deeper.
Yeah. It's called Magic Hollywood.
Well, they got to get to that chewy, they got to get past that chewy nougat outer layer to get to that crunchy inner. Somehow,
I would love for these
molten iron
geeks
that
to tell me how
stays
it's
magnetized. Thank you. You need to get out of my head, Mike. You and I are definitely on the same page on quite a bit of this crazy thinking. That's awesome.
Well, they love to spout stuff, but then they don't want to agree with their own science. It's like,
gotta have that double standard all the way through their friggin' weird, bizarre, twisted thinking, or it just won't work.
They don't want to give up their Star Trek. Boys and girls from space, you do not have to. Outer space, this means outer wide. You can still have your UFOs, because anyone that says there's not, you're crazy. Because put on night vision at any time, and you just look up at night. And you tell me the halos that you see around these things shooting off and going so fast that, I don't know.
You can look up on a regular night anywhere, like you're apparently close to some outer areas there near the Grand Canyon, I think I heard you mention, and definitely out there away from any kind of light pollution. You can just look up on a good night without just with your naked eyes and see
Oh yeah.
formations of things changing, like literally like in formation, changing direction, going 4 different directions. It's pretty insane stuff. My brother is in Oregon, and there's quite a few different places we go and watch the stars and take photographs, and I've seen just insane things up there.
Well, gentlemen, that brings us to our last break of the show. So we will be joined by Michael Lee for the very last segment right here on the Ironworks, right after this quick break.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Wired magazine article says proposed moon mission offers little value at an astronomical cost. Yeah, no kidding. The New York Times says the next big volcano could briefly cool the Earth. NASA wants to be ready. Yeah, NASA wants to be ready to see just how well the spreading out of these particulates in the atmosphere will black out the sun, because we really need to have that information. Still lots of articles about making space food with space poop. That's always nice. And it turns out that a single-person spacecraft the design for a single-person spacecraft has passed the pool test. So there we go. We will now see astronauts in single-person spacecraft in the pool. So good stuff going on in the headlines this week. I love it. And I shared in chat a classic article from... Heck, it might have even been last year. I'm not even sure which. And it's almost one. Even the headline makes you laugh. It says NASA wants to probe Uranus in search of gas. We hear a lot about Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, but that's because we have an extremely fancy hardware floating around, and in some cases cruising on the Earth's surface on the surface of those planets. The planets that lie further away from the sun don't get nearly as much attention. They may soon, as NASA is currently spitballing some missions that will give us a better look at Uranus than we've ever gotten. The theoretical missions in which NASA spacecraft heading to both Uranus and Neptune would be of huge scientific benefit. The idea is to determine what the planets are made of, and to get an atmospheric composition and take lots of fantastic photographs too. Gotta love pictures of Uranus.
From space.
Here's a little something for you, Josh.
And is that flower still growing up there? When I was on board the space station, we grew some stuff in space. We grew some lettuce, and after that, we grew something a little bit more.
I just emailed you.
Flowers, zinnia.
Little shout out to some lettuce in space for you, Josh.
I love lettuce in space.
Josh, I just emailed you something.
Oh, goodness.
Open it up. Yeah, I can't wait. I predict that probably either by the end of this year or early next year, they will, for the first time, again be growing lettuce in space. That's my prediction.
I think you're pretty scientifically bold to make such a prediction. I'm just going to say, I don't know, sir. I don't know. Oh.
Well, okay, maybe my timing is off, but I think it's a pretty solid prediction that they will. Again, grow lettuce.
For the first time again. Right.
That's right. They've already done it three or four times, grown lettuce in space for the first time. So I predict they're going to grow lettuce in space for the first time again soon. That's my prediction.
I think they'll put another monkey on space.
Or at least launch.
Or dress up as one.
Just launch them up there and wave goodbye.
Yeah, better dress up.
Well, now, you know that our buddy Elon is about to launch his heavy-duty rocket that he says either will work or will be the biggest fireworks show ever. So at least he knows that there's a 50-50 chance of it working out. Oh, my God.
Just one of their rituals. It will be a fireworks show.
Right. That's going to say that's just a bunch of BS because it's going to be a huge fireworks show regardless.
At the last second, he'll realize, oh, no, that's where we stored all those flamethrowers. Oh!
No, what they do is they say, okay, this load's going to cost $2 trillion. And they just send up the little balloon, blow it up, and say, I mean, people think that they would do this for money, but they don't use money. I mean, even watch the documentaries of George Bush 20 years ago, younger, when he's like, I'm on my fourth time of restarting over. I had to give it all up because they put nothing in their names. He's like, we don't use money. And they don't. I mean, but we do, and they know that. So it's not about, they don't care about money. It's just zeros. They don't pay for anything. But taking money from us, that's because people get on me when I start saying, well, money is just, they don't care about money. Money is nothing to them. And they'll be like, no, for us it is. So for them to tax and tax and tax, sure, they'll wipe the middle class out. That's their whole plan. And to hurt the poor. But they still have to pay their mercenaries. And people don't understand that 90% of our military is mercenaries. So crazy. That's what NASA is. DARPA.
Yes, mind control for sure. And it's so hard to break some people out of it. Hell, I had a hard time breaking out of it. I was the hugest. I mean, I was huge NASA fanboy, and I was still trying to figure out how to make a disc float in space for the first 3 months maybe. Just couldn't. Just everything was like just rolling craps, and it's just not working. And I just kept seeing all this fake footage, and when I finally saw when I finally realized that they're not only crashing these guys down on Earth, not in the ocean like they did in the 70s, but on the Earth, onto the ground at the last second with this little rocket booster to keep the little capsule they're in from crashing really too hard, because the parachute's not enough to slow it down for people to survive this. But at the last second, this rocket fires and everything's good. And I'm watching this one land, and the box literally just explodes. It's gone. It's exploded, leaves a square spot in the smoke where it used to exist. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what they're showing people as reality. So yeah, it finally broke me out of the mind hold NASA had on me. It's tough. I couldn't let Star Trek go, man.
I never believed their stuff. I mean, so these NASA boys now, they need to take your kids' rocket that they have, these little rocket sets, and you touch them up and you watch how fast that thing goes.
The Estes rockets?
Yeah, just any of the ones, the little, they do for scouts, whatever, and with the little parachute. But you watch them suckers, man, you just touch that and them things are 150 feet in the air in like 1 second. It's like, poof. Now you watch NASA stuff. Okay, we're on minute 5 and they're still up in the screen. I mean, it's like, how are people believing this? And you're saying that 17.5 thousand miles an hour. It's like, really?
Yeah,
this little rocket right here is not even doing 1,200 feet per second, and it's gone.
But then it's part of Star Trek, and then UFOs, and then the aliens, and come on, man.
I almost said Furby. What were they called? Do you remember the Star Trek? It was my favorite.
The
Tribbles,
yes, sir.
I watched that one a million times when I was a kid. That was my favorite in the world.
Yes.
It just kept breeding and breeding and breeding.
One of my favorite books ever was the guy who wrote that story, the actual screenwriter for that episode. It was a guy named David Gerald who wrote some of my favorite books ever. He wrote this great book about time travel called The Man Who Folded Himself. Great stuff. But he also wrote a behind-the-scenes book about being a young kid, Star Trek fan, and getting to write this episode, being part of it, being behind the scenes. He actually had a walk-on part on the episode. It was just the ultimate Star Trek geek book. It was great. Great stuff. Of one of my favorite episodes as well. I love the Tribble episode.
Yeah, that and whenever they'd go on the holodeck, you guys ever watch very much Twilight Zone? Because that was a lot of reality.
Well, oh man, I grew up on that stuff. You're talking my childhood. That's.
Most people have never seen the one that's my favorite, and it drives me crazy because I try to explain to them, but everything's like clear in the future, and nobody talks to anybody in like this hotel, and the guy comes in, he's always talking to the clerk behind the desk, and that, but nobody will actually physically talk to anybody or touch anyone or anything. It's like making now, like texting and all that, but
right,
he ends
that's
up
awesome.
Trashing out the computer system, and they're in New York, so everybody has to, like, just wiped it out and shorted it out to where, so at the end, when they all walk out, they're like all looking at each other, and they have to speak to each other. And they're like, what the hell? They don't know what to do. But then you find out that clerk was a robot the whole time. It's like, wow. So that one just always tripped me out when I was young and watched it. But I was like, what do you mean nobody's going to talk and nobody's going to...
No, that's crazy stuff. Yeah, those are some amazing future-telling stories. But again, that, Outer Limits, the whole shebang, I loved all that stuff growing up, man. That's... And then get into the... Do what?
I said they know how to suck us in.
Well, yeah. Then you take the science officer from Star Trek, and he then starts looking for the world's mysteries on In Search Of. Dude, that was a cream dream. I was just like, yes! Spock will find Bigfoot. Spock will find Nessie. Spock will explain the Easter Island statues.
Yeah. No, go get a well. They're just getting more bizarre.
These days, there's so many things that they just shove in your face with the television programs. I've been catching up with some stuff, watching with my girlfriend. It's already gone. Philip K. Dick's new little stories. What's it called? My goodness. Sorry, I can't think of it, but it's a new little anthology. What was it?
Electric Dream.
That's it. That's it.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, it started out really great. I'm about 3 in now, and I'm not as thrilled with it, so it's definitely not as good as the Black Mirror series as far as just shoving the future, what's coming in your face. It's pretty amazing stuff there.
I think that Galaxy of the Guardians, the new one, is just beyond over the top of their symbolism of everything. I mean, everything. The whole thing is just in your face. Oh, have you guys seen that one?
That one, the new one with with Kurt Russell.
Kurt, yeah.
That was hilarious. And yeah, lots of stuff shoved right in your face with the genetics, and oh yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my God, yeah, just everything, all the symbols,
the whole thing, yeah.
I started the new one on Netflix called Altered Carbon.
I haven't, not yet.
I heard that one.
You're gonna like it better than Electric Dreams.
You think? Oh man, well I'm pumped up now. So
it's pretty good.
What was that?
It's called Altered Carbon. I've even seen a couple like marketing videos passing through my feed on Facebook, and people think that they're real. I get the impression, but it's basically, people have learned to live forever by transferring consciousness into these little discs that they store in their spinal column, and as long as your disc stays intact, you can just move your disc from one sleeve to another, and the sleeve is just the body in which the disc resides. So it's that altered.
Wow, that's awesome.
All these sleeves that are out there. Yeah, it's really, really interesting stuff.
Oh, I can't think of the movie I just watched. Everything they see, hear, do is put on this chip on them, and the guy ends up, like, he's thinking his wife's cheating and all that, which I won't run that she was, but so they're saying, like, when they smash it, only, like, the hookers and that do that. But everything, I mean, word for word, so every time they're doing something, like, you said this, no, you didn't, they just, like, play it out and play it right in front of you on the screen, word for word, go back, birthdays, memories, everything. and it's just like, it gives you that feeling like, I mean, it'd make a lot of people jealous, like wanting to know every move your spouse made, and you can make them show them. They're like, oh, show me, and they just put it. I just watched it the other day on something. I was like, man, this is.
One of the things on the Black Mirror that's really crazy is this whole, everybody's got a chip. That might be what it was a Black Mirror episode. Everybody's got a chip in their head, and if you get mad at somebody, you just turn on the little remote and block them. So they're just a blank space in front of you. You can't hear them. You can't see what they're doing. They're just not there in your reality anymore.
Black Mirror?
Black Mirror. It's all right. My Southern comes out when I get too much coffee in me. Yeah, Black Mirror on is it Netflix? Yeah, Hulu, Netflix, one of them. One of those programming stations.
I watched. Because that's the one. I mean, I'm only a couple few into it, but the one was the JFK, not the pig.
Oh yeah, those. Yeah, I forgot. Those are the early episodes.
Yes,
oh my goodness, yeah,
the pig.
With the pig. Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. That was great.
Yeah,
art imitating life.
And the next one was sick. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, wow, these things are getting just bizarre.
Yeah, I want to go back and watch those early days. Well, when you get into this newer season, it's really going to break your brain, my friend. It really will. It's just kind of like they're just showing you what's here and what's coming. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. There was the one where everybody was like on their bicycles pedaling to make energy for the world to earn their credits to watch their screens. And oh yeah, some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Got to earn those life credits, those screen credits.
And then he goes after his girlfriend disappears, whatever, and so he gets and does it to. Oh, he gets mad with the glass and kill himself.
Right.
And,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they've always got to. Sorry. I apologize. Alarms again set for the wrong times for the wrong days. I do apologize there.
That Westworld was a trip.
Yes, it was.
This one I have to finish. We started it and then did some changes to our setup. So.
I mean, that was one that I sat and just binge watched till.
Well, we were, and then we had some issues with our system, and we switched over to a new whole internet system, and just haven't gotten back to. We've gotten way too much new stuff now that's gotten us off track. There's a lot of stuff we have to go back and finish. So yeah, I'm turning into a junkie again. I knew that's what would happen when we got the new internet. I have much better speeds to talk to you guys, but I also have much better speeds to watch all the brain-numbing programming. Darn it.
Oh, see, I have Showbox, so on all my devices, so I can, and MovieBox, so that's 10 times better than Netflix.
Let's just say I have a little way of watching just pretty much whatever, and so now not only am I watching everything new, right? Everything new I want to see. Now I'm watching stuff that I had forgotten existed. Like I don't know if you guys watched this show called Fridays on ABC. In the 80s, it was so much better than Saturday Night Live, and they had the most amazing musical guests. Oh my goodness, Devo, The Clash. I mean, you name somebody in the 80s that jammed, they were on this show. So I've been like binge watching those.
I just only have a couple, just Game of Thrones and Vikings.
I've somehow managed to avoid that virus, the Game of Thrones virus.
Oh,
I know
dude, that's the best.
I know
to watch
carriers will get me. I know. But so far I've managed to fend it off.
It's pretty much, if any of the history was real, it's exactly in our face what they would do. Like, which I know it's not, because I can tell you right now, Google electric cars. I'll show you in 1861 mass-produced cars, electric and gas hybrid, magnetism and solar. They talk about them being, in like 1921, it shows that 3/4 of America had electric cars. And I definitely give Karen from Sun and Moon credit because she came up with it quick, just like saying it. But I ran with it and researched it, and that is, I'll show you. That's why they created World War I and World War II. Now, who all died in World War I and World War II? The steelworkers. Well, how do you get rid of all the electric cars? Because it shows by 1921, 3/4 of America had electric cars, and in 1861, if you look at all the brochures and all that, it's showing that they would do up to 70 miles an hour and up to 300 miles per charge in 1861. These are mass-produced cars.
Wild.
So you
they
have World
all
War
got
I.
turned into tanks.
Yeah. And that's how they got rid of all the steelworkers and all the people with the history of making the hybrid and electric cars and start you over and set you back 150 years and keep you on the oil.
I'm just watching a little documentary about this artist, Robert Williams, and he was talking about how all the hot rod people, were gathering all these cars up and bringing them back to life because it was hard to find. Everything had been melted down for the wars. I never thought about the fact that they were hiding electric cars as well. That's crazy.
Yeah. So you're the whole Western day is BS, but because we have big pictures here, like in some of the cafes and all that, of back in, and we're looking at them, and it says 1902, and my brother and I were sitting there eating that. Well, I could tell that the roads had been graded. And I'm like, these roads are graded, and this is 1902. So I'm all looking for the cars, and you could actually see them down in the sheds and that, but the roads are totally graded with graders and done, and I'm like, But
so do you think some of this footage from some of the old movies showing people walking around with what looks like cell phones and things like that, what's your take on that stuff?
Well, I mean, pretty much all of us should have seen some of the NASA pictures back in 1959. So, and the guy's sitting there using a tablet, and right on it says Photoshop. I mean, he's sitting there editing in the background.
I haven't seen that. You have to send that to me, man. Oh my goodness, Mike! Yeah. No, that's awesome.
The guy's just sitting there editing in the back, and if you look, it says it's a tablet, and it's got Photoshop on it.
That's amazing.
So, people think they didn't have that kind of technology. It's like, man, people don't understand that Tesla and all that had the patents back at 1901 for the tablet, for the phones, called the tablet, for all this stuff. I mean, they knew how all the computers worked. They knew how, yeah, sure, they made them smaller, did all this, but we can say that. But then if you look at, go to whitehouse.gov and look, and in 1907, because you go to their newspaper articles, they have all of them ever printed. In 1907, a guy named Columbus was going to go sail the Earth to see if it was really round. This is 1907. So it's talking about an entrepreneur going to go sail the world and see if it's really round in 1907.
Wait, what? Oh my goodness. See, you have got to come back. You have got just too many things to talk about here. And we're running so close to the end.
Family. That's who runs the U.S., the Knights of Columbus. That's the Knights of Columbus family. The G20 is your G20, your top 20
So
families.
The world is only 6,000 years old. We've had electric cars since the early 1800s with cell phones. My goodness, you're breaking my brain this morning, sir.
Like I said, it's called His Story for a reason. But who knows what's real? I mean, they changed it. I mean, who controls the past controls the present. Who controls the present controls the future. So, I don't know. When I just start to think I know something, I end up with a million more questions.
That's it. I don't know anything. That's the one thing I know for sure. I don't know a damn thing. Oh, my goodness. Well, before we get out of here, which is coming up on us here in the next 2 or 3 minutes, make sure everybody knows where to find you, where to find your stuff, how to get in touch with you, sir.
Well, if you can find my YouTube channel, it's Wait the Sheeple. That's pretty much it. I've stayed off everything else since, and you'll just see me in chats. Everybody I like to argue with a lot of people, and everybody just keep pushing. No matter when they start knocking you down, just keep pushing because it's getting easier and easier. Because any of the newbies, you guys have no idea what it was like 4 years ago to come out and say you're a flat earther.
Well, somehow we managed to stay under the radar. We've only recently had to push hard because of this whole limit they're putting on the search engine optimization with having to have a certain number of subscribers, which thank you guys. We reached that 1,000. We appreciate it out there. Thanks. But I mean, that's one thing I keep worrying about is as more attention does come to our little efforts, that suddenly it will all just evaporate. So we're doing our best to download, and I say we are. I've not done it yet, but we need to get our stuff archived ASAP.
And just if any of you guys are coming in through to see Zion National Park, anything, just get a hold of me. I got 2 furnished other rooms, everything else. I got a whole upstairs.
Awesome.
I'll let any flat earther can stay free, whatever. Just.
Oh man, that's a generous offer, brother. That's amazing. You show me what I find out in this community all the time, that this is just a thing filled with love, and there's no way they can stop it with people like you in it.
I appreciate it. Thanks. I'm glad you guys invited me on.
Oh, it was our pleasure. We'd love to have you back. And they got your email. Would you do me a favor and just read that for the audience real quick? That's really good stuff.
My email?
Yes, the one you sent me.
It's Flat Hatter.
No, I'm sorry. You don't necessarily have to give out your email. You sent me an email recently with an attachment with that picture in it.
Oh, my poem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind reading that for the audience.
Sure, I can. It's right here on my phone.
That would be excellent.
Yeah, I named it The Awakening. I wrote this a while back. Okay, sometimes I feel like I committed a crime. I sit in solitude with nothing but time. So many playing Pokemon, walking asleep. I think, wake up now, you ignorant freaking sheep. I get angry, I scream and I yell, for some can't hear and are destined to fail. I walk lightly and plant a seed. Those who open their eyes will be freed. I may look like I'm beaten and I'm weak. At time of war, I don't turn the other cheek. I'm just another man in this battle. They will find out that I'm not their damn cattle. The time is now for the call. I will fight until the end, even if I fall. Until this war is over and done, we have to stick together and fight as one.